Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Facebook Live of Zenith Advanced Fertility Center. And thank you so much for being here today because I'm going to talk about a topic so close to my heart, and I'm sure that it is something that touches a chord for everybody. So, today we are going to discuss about the journey of motherhood. The second Sunday of May is celebrated as Mother's Day across the world. In a way, it is also a day for mothers to celebrate themselves because every time a child is born, a mother is born too. Every child gives birth to a mother. In fact, it is said that the process of pregnancy, motherhood, and the process of labor is like a rebirth for the woman. Today, I'm going to take you on a journey of motherhood as I have seen and experienced it from three different aspects. First, being a mother myself. Second, being an IVF specialist and having seen thousands of women pursue their dream of motherhood. And third, as a practitioner of energy medicine, and to see what role it can play and how it can enhance this joyous journey. Let me first begin with my story. So the question is, why now? Why after 21 long years? Because this is a time fraught with fear, helplessness, and despair. And if this story can give hope and courage to even one person, it would be a story told for a good reason. Will it help? Will it inspire? These are questions that are difficult to answer because they are a matter of individual subjectivity. But through my journey over the years and through the people I have met and learned from, the one thing I have learned is that a personal story or narrative told with the right intention can touch people's soul. I'm also aware of the responsibility of telling a personal or biographical narrative without any gloss or ornamentation, so as to engage honestly with all those who will care to listen and with all those who may come across this later. It was the year 2000. I was 8 months pregnant and alone in a foreign country due to some unprecedented circumstances for more than a month. I was new to the place and was trying to navigate ways of taking care of myself with the help of some friends. One day, as I went to the hospital for my routine antenatal checkup, I was suddenly informed that my blood pressure was very high and that I needed immediate admission. They even told me that I could be facing an imminent induction of labor and an early delivery. I requested for some time as I was all alone and also hoped that with some treatment, the blood pressure may settle down and we could get some more time. As advised, I got myself admitted and requested a friend to get some essentials from home. I decided to bide my time and wait as my husband was supposed to reach in a couple of days. As I waited, and after some treatment and running some investigations, my blood pressure settled, and after 4 days, I was informed that I could go home, monitor my blood pressure at home, and we could take a call on the next step of action after about a week. As I prepared to leave the hospital after taking the discharge, and as I reached the main gate of the hospital, I remembered that my cousin, who lived a little further away, had mentioned that she would come and see me. I turned back from the gate of the hospital and asked if I could wait in my room for some time for her. I settled down And after about 15 minutes, I experienced an excruciating pain in my upper abdomen, accompanied by severe nausea and vomiting. I felt dizzy and lay down on the bed. A nurse came and put the fetal monitor on my abdomen and realized, and it showed that the baby's heart rate was dropping significantly. I did not know then, but I had abrupted, a condition where the placenta separates from the wall of the uterus before the baby is delivered. An extremely dangerous condition for the baby and even for the mother. Since no time can be lost under such circumstances, I was immediately wheeled to the operation theatre for an emergency cesarean section. I dread to think of what could have happened had I left the hospital and was stuck up on the road somewhere trying to get back home. My precious daughter came into this world before term and was immediately transferred to the NICU. The surgery done, I was transferred back to the room and was doing quite well till evening when the pulse rate monitor started beeping and the pulse rate started showing drop to less than 40. The pulse rate was dropping and my heart was not keeping up with its job. As I slipped into unconsciousness, I was aware of a flurry of activity around me, with nurses and paramedics rushing into the room and doctors shouting orders. When I regained consciousness, I was in the intensive care unit, strung up to multiple machines and with a catheter running from the artery of my leg right up to my heart, something called as a central venous pressure monitoring, done in cases where the peripheral pulses cannot be felt. This had been done right in the room because none of my peripheral pulses were being felt. And then I was transferred to the ICU. I had slipped into a dreaded condition and complication called HELP syndrome, along with DIC, both having a very high mortality rate. My hemoglobin had dropped to less than 6. My platelets were well below 15 to 18,000. And I was going into an imminent hepatorenal shutdown as my kidneys and liver was really not functioning at all. Things had happened very fast and deteriorated quickly. Doctors had informed my parents and sister back home that my chances of survival could not be certain. I have often tried to not think of the ordeal that my parents and sister must have gone through back home, being so far away from me and feeling so helpless. Over the next few days, I experienced almost every complication associated with this condition, including hemolysis, coagulopathy, cardiovascular insufficiency, acute renal shutdown, the liver not functioning, and at a certain point in time, even a high risk of a cerebral stroke and cerebral edema when my blood pressure went to over 200. Being a gynecologist and having managed patients with this condition, having salvaged some and having lost some, I was well aware of my risks and also knew about the possibility of embracing death. All I wanted to do was live for my daughter, to see her, to hold her, and to take care of her. When the doctor ordered for an MRI, suspecting that there was blood collection around my liver, forming a liver hematoma, I fervently prayed to be spared of this complication, knowing fully well the risk that if this hematoma had to rupture, fatality would be certain. Luckily, I was spared of this complication. As I lay in the ICU, I decided that I wanted to live. I visualized myself as healed. I prayed. I thought of my daughter and of holding her in my arms. And my parents, sister, and family prayed and constantly sent their prayers over to me. I just knew that I had to survive and tried to draw on all the courage that I had. Even then, I slipped into another dreaded complication called ARDS, acute respiratory distress syndrome, where the lungs were not functioning and the possibility of putting me on a ventilator was being discussed. It was, however, an early onset, and with prompt and aggressive medical management, my deep intention, prayers, and blessings, this was avoided. Once this happened, recovery started. My blood pressure started settling down. My hemoglobin started coming back to normal, of course, with a lot of blood transfusion and transfusion of platelets, etc. My platelets started getting back to a reasonably safe level, and my kidneys and my liver again started coming back to functioning better than what in the condition that they were before. After spending 7 days in the ICU, hovering between life and death, I was transferred back to my room, and then I saw my daughter. At her end, though nothing much was required physically, I knew that she had battled her own storms, having been taken away to the NICU immediately after birth and not having known the safety of a mother's arms for the first crucial days of her life. Recovery was slow, but the worst was behind us. We had made it. I've always been thankful for all the medical care, prayers, and blessings that got me through this, because I know that not everyone gets a second chance. However, what I want to share today is what I learned through this experience. What I learned was that love is a huge force. It can help you combat death. Courage is a virtue hidden deep in our depths. We need to draw upon it. Faith is not a word written in books or in sermons. It is true, and it can help you climb mountains and cross oceans. Prayers work. Across time and space, prayers work. Never underestimate its power. Blessings are needed. And at a time of life and death, they form a protection around you. So hold on to them, feel them, wish them, and share them abundantly. They can turn life around. The second perspective on motherhood is my experience as a fertility specialist. Being an IVF specialist and having seen thousands of women pursue their dream of motherhood, I have seen the hope, courage, and faith with which these women go through this journey. They endure not just the pain of infertility and the treatment, but also endure the pain of failure of treatment that goes along with treatments in infertility, and still draw upon their strength to start yet another treatment cycle. I see this every day, examples of resilience, courage, and faith. In fact, many studies have likened the stress and trauma of infertility and the anxiety and depression associated with it to that similar to compared to cancer or after having and experiencing a heart attack. It is an emotional roller coaster, with some fighting stigma, some experiencing helplessness, some asking why me and feeling guilty, and others withdrawing from social contact. And all this while seemingly and overtly having regular lives and managing high profile jobs. 22 years back, when I decided to just pursue infertility as a practice and give up on regular obstetrics and gynec, many people raised their eyebrows. And some even asked me why I was committing professional harakiri. It was just not thought of that one could start only with a specialty infertility practice back then. However, this decision has helped me focus on my patients, listen to their stories, partner in their journeys, and celebrate in their success. It has helped me go beyond the medical causes of infertility and try and understand the psychosocial issues that might cause or pose an impediment to the journey of motherhood. But most of all, it has helped me connect with thousands of courageous women who walk this path with a smile on their face. Have we been able to help every patient conceive? No. As with every other IVF center in the world, we also have our share of failures. And I know at times some those who fail blame the center or the doctor. But these are a minuscule few, and the vast majority of the women, whether successful or unsuccessful after treatment, walk this journey with equanimity and grace. Like one of my patients, let me call them Asha and Vinod for anonymity's sake. Vinod was this childhood friend of one of my patients. Both of them, Asha and Vinod, had undergone 5 failed IVF cycles, 4 with stimulation and 1 frozen embryo transfer. My patient had literally talked them into coming to me again for yet another one. As they walked into the clinic, the smile on their face would not, make us understand the difficulty that they were going through, which was a testimonial to their spirit. Though being realistic about their chances, they both decided to go through treatment. Knowing that they had 5 failed IVF cycles, they had already applied for adoption. A few days, they finished the IVF cycle, and a couple of days before the pregnancy test was due, they got a call from the adoption service agency and went there, and they saw a little princess. It was love at first sight for them, and they decided to go ahead with the adoption. A couple of days later, she also tested positive for her pregnancy, and her IVF cycle had worked. 9 months later, Asha delivered her baby. And now they had 2 princesses at home, filling their life with joy and abundance. Her grit and determination of going through an IVF cycle had worked, and so had her loving heart. So all you women out there, mothers and wanting to be mothers, take a bow for yourselves and celebrate yourselves for this beautiful journey of motherhood that we all walk on. Something that we need to understand and celebrate and help each other through. And it is totally important to understand and believe in our innate ability to become a mother. If not always by a child coming into your life and changing things for you, then at times by you walking into a child's life and changing things for yourselves. The third perspective on motherhood that I'm going to offer is that as a practitioner of energy medicine. Now, what is energy medicine? I'm sure that's a question everybody wants to know or wants an answer to. Though there are many definitions of energy medicine, to just put it in simple terms, I would say that energy medicine is a field or a form of healing that focuses on organizing and aligning our own energy field as well as the universal energy field, and channeling it for our health and well-being. There are many forms of energy medicine. For example, yoga. Yoga is not just a set of asanas. The term yoga actually means union or to join. And then whether you feel that it is union with the higher self or with your own higher self, or just experience oneness with everything in life. Meditation. There are different kinds of meditation that one can undergo, but meditation is also a form of energy medicine. Acupuncture. Qigong, which is an Asian yoga practice involving eye movements and body movements. Reiki, which is a Japanese form of healing. And for that matter, to be truthful, even nutrition, because what you eat, what nutrition you put inside, and how mindfully you eat is a form of putting the right energy into your physical body. My initiation into energy medicine was done by my father, who would encourage me to look at the effects of my thoughts and beliefs on my day-to-day happenings. Of course, as a teenager and later on as a medical professional, I did not pay too much attention to it. However, it remained as a teaching, and I was compelled to look and examine the effects of thoughts, beliefs, and environment on life happenings. I have often been maybe sometimes scoffed at and asked that you are a doctor, right? How come you believe in this? And let me tell you that there are a lot of people in the scientific world who believe in this. To cite a few examples, the Harvard Medical School Center of Integrative and Holistic Medicine, the Center for Mindfulness in Medicine and Healthcare at the University of Massachusetts Hospital, Stanford Center of Integrative Medicine, and the center at Mass General Hospital. Moreover, Reiki is offered as a form of healing across many hospitals in the NHS, which is the National Health Service in the UK. At the same time, world organizations like the United Nations are looking at how they can understand the energy working and how reprogramming of the subconscious can help to create lasting change that is sustainable. In fact, medicine has a new word for it, and that is called epigenetics. So we all know that genes make our biology, but epigenetics is a part which talks about the influence of behavior, thought, belief, and environment on the expression of your genes. So is there something different? Can our thoughts, beliefs, practices, and the way we channel our energy influence our health? Can this play a role in our journey towards motherhood? So how can this make a role in a journey towards motherhood? If we take specifically people who are suffering from infertility, this can help by first getting rid of the shame and guilt associated with infertility, by changing our vibrations from those of fear and helplessness to those of faith and hope, by taking care of our relationships and nurturing them, by practicing compassion for all life, by taking care of unabated stress, by taking care of our nutrition, and by putting in our foods very mindfully, by practicing forgiveness. There are a lot of things which can help us, if not just to cure the problem, but at least to help us walk through this journey with equanimity. Mind you, I'm not at all saying that we have to replace modern medical science with energy medicine. This is complementary to the medical treatments that we take. Cutting edge medical advances and technology have saved millions of lives. I myself have been witness to the enormous strides that have been made in the field of infertility with technology. And we at Zenith implement all the proven latest technology that is known to enhance success rates, along with having people with the highest qualifications to manage every form of infertility. But can we do something in addition? Because despite all the modern advances that we had in infertility, we still are looking at unexplained infertility. We're still looking at recurrent implantation failures and recurrent abortions. And with regards to health, we are still seeing a lot of illness, morbidity, and mortality associated with lifestyle diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, and cancer. And as we all know, we are still dealing with, as of now, unknown diseases which might strike us, such as the one of COVID-19, the pandemic that we are tackling right now. Can we do something more to help ourselves? Maybe we can understand the workings and implement them into our lives along with the treatments that we are taking in order to make this journey even more joyous. So I believe that along with modern medicine, integrative healthcare and whole health, like Lisa Rankin puts it, is and must be the way ahead. As for me, I am a Reiki master. I've done my mastership in Reiki from the Usui school, from the Reiki school UK, and I have learned that in Japan on Mount Kurama, the place where Reiki actually was born, so as to say. I'm also a graduate of the Four Winds Society, one of the leading schools of energy medicine in the world. And I hope that all of us can take some understanding, because we are using so much of energy for so many things in other aspects of life, be it solar, sound, or electromagnetic energy. Then why can't we see how we can channel it for health and well-being? The one common thread through all these three perspectives in the journey of motherhood, as I can see, is that of love, hope, faith, and courage. Not only just when we are delivering our babies, but throughout the time as we raise them into their adulthood and as they step in to take their rightful place in this world. Which means actually throughout the journey of motherhood, which is forever, as we all know. Once a mom, always a mom. So ladies, let's hold on to these because we really need it. Before I end today's session, I would like to make one appeal, and I would like to mention a couple of things. Today, our country is going through a very difficult time with the pandemic hitting us hard. We are all in our homes and we cannot really do much. But if we can do one thing, maybe we can keep our hopes alive. We can look and visualize our motherland as healed. And instead of buying and getting into the collective fear and despair, we can keep our hope and faith alive and do whatever bit we can to make this time a little more bearable. The two things that I would like to mention, one is that we have a healing group, and if anybody would like, this is open to all, and if anybody would like to join us, you're most welcome. The only prerequisite is that you should know somebody who's already on the group. And second, and of course this is exclusive for our Zenith patients, is that every Tuesday or Wednesday, mostly every Wednesday, we have a session which encompasses nutrition, yoga, guided meditations, and Q&As on infertility and different topics of infertility. So we will be sending out an email to all our patients, but if you haven't received one yet, please do write to us on info@zenith.clinic, and we'll make sure that we send you the Zoom link on which these sessions are going to be held. So that is it for today. Just wanted to bring in my perspective on this wonderful, this beautiful day that all of us experience, not just for mothers, for fathers, for everything, frankly, in this world. So thank you very much for joining us, and I'm hoping to see you again. Thank you. Bye-bye.